Okay, for our application today, we're going to work with 4 piles of 4 cards each. So if you were here, I would have you kind of randomize the cards within each pile. That would be just fine. Okay, same thing here. Maybe you'll mix these in some fashion. And then over here, you'll mix these like that. That's just great. Okay, now what I need you to do is stack any 2 of these piles of 4 cards together. It's completely your choice. So maybe you'll decide to stack this one on top of that one. That's great. And then maybe you'll decide to stack this one on top of that one. That would be fine as well. So we have these 2 piles of 8 cards each. So let me just straighten them up over here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to randomize these cards in a number of different ways. I mean, by the end, there's no way that any human could know where any cards are, even if they happen to know the original ordering of these packets. Now, by the way, you've already mixed them within each set of 4, and then you randomly stacked 2 of them together. So really, no human could now know exactly where cards are, because I could have allowed you to randomize those piles of 4 cards with my back turned even. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix these piles in a way that will just scramble further the ordering of the cards so that we ensure that no one could know anything about these cards. Okay, so we stacked into 3 piles there. Very good. And we do 3 piles again. Okay, and then we'll stack these together. Okay, so we have these 2 piles of 8 cards each. It's kind of messy, sorry about that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to allow you to choose any of the 4 shuffles today that we've shown you to randomize each of these packets. Now, I do need to point out that it is actually the case that you could choose any of the 40 shuffles we have shown thus far and apply any of those in any order and in any quantity to either one of these packets or both packets. Okay, so you can shuffle these differently or the same if you would like. Okay, so why don't we begin with the pile on the left here. So maybe we'll focus on our new shuffles today, just so that our video is no longer than it really needs to be. So which of these shuffles would you like me to perform? 38? Okay. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do 38. So that's a judicious Klondike. So check me here. Make sure that I'm being honest here. I'm going to try to do them correctly. So 38, you said. So this is stacking pile 1 on top of pile 3, pile 2 on top of pile 4, and then we stack the right pile on top of the left. Okay, so are you content with all of the mixing that we've done, considering that you randomized the cards within each set of cards and then you randomly stacked the piles of 4 cards? Do you want to do any more of these today that we've shown you today? You do. 39? Great. So this is where we're still doing a judicious Klondike. So top and bottom come off as 1. Top and bottom come off as 1. And then the 4th pile goes down. So shuffle 39 says to stack the 4th pile on top of the 2nd, the 3rd pile on top of the 1st, and then shuffle 39, what is it? The right pile on top of the left. Okay. Would you like to perform any more of these? Just one more? So which one? 37 or 40? Oh, that's a bit tricky. You want to perform 38 a second time. Oh, okay, that's just fine. So shuffle 38 again. So judicious Klondike, this is where we take the top and bottom off as 1, put them into a 1st pile, top and bottom off as 1, 2nd pile, top and bottom off as 1, 3rd, and then the last 2 become the 4th pile. And so shuffle 38 is what? Stacking pile 1 on top of pile 3, pile 2 on top of pile 4, and then we stack the right pile on top of the left. Okay, so why don't we put it sideways like that, because will indicate that we're done kind of mixing these cards, that you're content with how well mixed they've been. Okay, now what about our other pile? Which of these would you like to perform? 37? Shuffle 37? Okay, so this is a Klondike as well, a judicious Klondike. So take the top and bottom off as 1 for pile 1. Top and bottom off as 1, pile 2. Top and bottom off as 1, pile 3. And then the last 2 become pile 4. So for shuffle 37, we're stacking the first pile on top of the third, the second on top of the fourth, and then we're stacking the left on the right. Okay? So would you like to perform any more of these? You would. So which one? 39? Okay, so 39, we'll do that one next. So here's the Klondike again. Judicious Klondike, top and bottom, go into pile 1. The next top and bottom cards, pile 2, pile 3, and then the last 2, pile 4. So shuffle 39. We take the fourth pile, stack it on top of the second. The third pile goes on top of the first. And now we stack the right on the left. Okay, would you like to do any more of these? You would. Oh, okay. So you want to do a couple of shuffles from earlier in the series. That's fine. I told you that you could, so I guess that's fine. You want to do a mange over under? Okay. So do people remember from earlier in the series, this is where you push the top card into your other hand. And so a mange over under is where you go over, under, over, under, over, under, over. Okay, that's a good one to do. You want to do an LR with right on left? Okay, that was one of the earlier shuffles that we showed you actually. Left, right, and stack right on left. The Australian shuffle as well. You're choosing all of the weird shuffles, but anyway, they're great shuffles. The Australian down under. Do you remember how that works? This is where you go down, under, down, under, down, under, down, under, down, under, down, under, down. Okay, very, very good. Okay, is that enough for now? You want to do one more of these that we just showed you today. 40? Shuffle 40? Okay, so we're back to the judicious Klondike. So we'll go top and bottom off is pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, and then pile 4. And then shuffle 40 is we stack the fourth pile on top of the second, third pile on top of the first, and now we're stacking the left pile on top of the right. Oh, wow, that is a lot of work. Okay, and now we're going to do something we've never done before, which is kind of fun to do actually. We're going to take this little pile here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to Klondike, essentially kind of beginning the same as we've always done. Isn't that funny? Kind of a judicious Klondike. But I'm going to do the same thing here, but stack it on top. Okay? So we're going to go like that, like this, and like you want these over there instead of there? Okay, that's fine. And the last ones go right there. Okay, I should have given you more choices. I apologize for that, but you messed up my perfect organization of setting those down. But that's fine, so you scrambled them a bit. Okay, so finally that gives us these 4 pairs, 4 sets of 4. Gives us 4 sets of 4, okay? Oh yeah, that's right. I have a written prediction over here that's been in camera view the whole time. So let's just see what it says here. Each pile will contain exactly 1 club, heart, spade, and diamond. Is that even possible? Well, let's find out. Let's see, maybe I'll pick up this one first. The club, heart, spade, diamond. I can't believe it. Wait a second. Each of the piles will have exactly 1. No way. Club, heart, spade, diamond. Each of these will be a club, heart, spade, diamond. I don't think so. There's a spade. There's a diamond. There's a club. And there's a heart. How is this possible? So club, heart, spade, diamond for each. No way. Heart, club, spade, diamond. And then what about this one? Club, heart, spade, diamond. How, after all of that randomization and impromptu choices and even kind of messing up what I was doing by switching pairs and making choices that none of us could have known that you would make ahead of time, how is it possible that it's led to a confirmation of a prediction that was written before all of the mixing began? Okay, so that's what we're looking at today for this final application. Okay, so let me explain to you how this one works. Believe it or not, it's quite simple, actually. I thought of adding, once you understand these principles, you can really come up with very elaborate mathematical card effects that, quite honestly, hardly anyone on planet Earth would ever be able to figure out what in the world is going on and how did you accomplish what you accomplished. Okay? Now, I backed off the complexity of this last minute because I didn't want it so convoluted that people would become discouraged and think, oh, I could never do that. Okay? So just realize that you can add additional mind-blowing elements to an effect like this that will just keep anyone from ever being able to reconstruct how it was done and how the seemingly impossible prediction came out to be true. Okay, so what I did was, if you remember, I had those 4 sets of 4 cards each out. Now, I had them face down, right? You remember that. They were face down at the beginning. But this is what they consisted of. They were just 4 cards of the same suit within each of those 4 piles. That's all it was. So let's say, and it doesn't matter where you put these piles. So maybe this pile's here, and then this one's right here, and this one's right here, and then this one's right here. Okay? So the order of these makes no difference. And so what I asked you to do was to stack together any 2 of these. And you truly can do that and stack them in either order. So you could stack this one on top of that one if you wanted, or this one on top of that one, or this one on top of that one. It doesn't matter. You can do a diagonal. Put this one on top of that one, and then this one on top of that one. It won't actually matter. Oh, I guess I should back up just a moment as well. Just a second ago, when I had 4 piles of 4, if you remember, I allowed the spectator to mix the cards within each set of 4. Well, within each set of 4, you had 4 of the same suit. So it doesn't matter how you mix those. You still have 4 cards of the same suit. Okay, so I did add that little randomization element where the spectator was allowed to mix the cards within each set of 4, which is fine. I kind of forgot about it here. Okay, and then you just have them stacked together, 2 piles of 4. Now we have 2 sets of 8 cards. Okay, and then if you remember what I did, and this isn't the only way to get yourself set up so that you can perform these Bessey shuffles. But right now, this has an organizational structure that could be characterized as 1, 1, 1, 1, 4 ones and 4 zeros. It's like 4 ones, 4 zeros. Now, we want to convert that to a Bessey sequence. Well, if you've been watching any of the videos on the Bessey sequence playlist, you know that there's a very classy way of converting this packet structure to a Bessey sequence. And so this is where you do this triangle deal. You remember that? You deal them out in a clockwise fashion into a triangle, and then the first pile dealt gets picked up first, and now you just pick them up in counterclockwise order. Okay, so that one's been mixed, which is great. So maybe I'll just put it there. And then we do the same thing for this one. So secretly, this is converting our packet of 8 cards into a Bessey sequence. So we stack counterclockwise. Okay, and I can even show you that these are Bessey sequences, just so you can see that for yourself. Okay, so no big surprise there, but let me just display that. It will dissipate some of the any confusion or unhelpful mystery behind this for you as the performer. Okay, so can you see that this is a Bessey sequence relative to clubs and hearts? Because we have a heart, a couple of clubs, and then a heart, and then a club, a couple of hearts and a club. Here, one spade, two diamonds, a spade, one diamond, two spades, and a diamond. So both of these are Bessey sequences relative to not only different colors, it ends up, but different suits. Okay? So these are Bessey sequences. Now what that means then is any of the 40 shuffles, and there'll be more coming, any of the 40 shuffles that we've shown thus far can be performed on either one of these packets as many times and in any order that you like. And it will not undermine the fundamental structure here. Now it might invert it. You remember that? Instead of being like a 1001, 0110, it might be 0110, 1001. That doesn't matter. That will not affect where we're headed in the least, okay? So if we happen to choose one of our shuffles, such as shuffle 38, which inverts the sequence, it doesn't matter. It won't hurt it, okay? So at this point, you have the spectator dictate how to mix each of these. Now, I meant to just stay focused on the new shuffles for the day, which are these four. And I think for the first packet that we mixed, we did that. I think I did one of these one of the new shuffles once, and then I did one of the other shuffles twice, something like that. And then for the other packet, if you remember, I began and I did one of these new shuffles, and then I pretended, and this was on the fly. I wasn't planning on doing this. I thought, oh, maybe the spectator will say, can I do one of the earlier ones? You know, because people are always maybe trying to trip you up. It doesn't matter in the end. So I said, I pretended that they called for one of the earlier ones. And I think it was the mange. I said, oh, they want us to do the mange. Oh, you want me to do the mange? Okay, that's just fine. Okay, and then I asked them for any others. I think they said the LR maybe. No, I think it was the Australian Down Under next, and then the LR. But it actually doesn't matter because these are all Bessey shuffles, and they preserve or invert Bessey sequences. Because that's the Australian Down Under. And then this one, we haven't done anything to it yet, but you can do any of these. Why don't we do two of the new shuffles here? 37. Okay, why don't we do 37? So, okay, so this is the judicious Klondike. Klondike pairs to the table, and then 37. We're stacking pile 1 on top of pile 3, 2 on top of pile 4, and then we're stacking left on right. Okay, so why don't we do one more of these? You want to do 40? Shuffle 40? Okay, that's just fine. But once again, just realize you can do any of the shuffles I've shown you. Shuffle 40 is where we go pile 4 on top of pile 2, pile 3 on top of pile 1, and then we're stacking left on right. Okay. And then if we want, we could throw in an LR shuffle if you wanted. Okay. Do as many of those as you like. We could do them to 4 piles if you wanted, and so forth. But anyway, the point is you can perform any of these shuffles in any order and in any quantity. Okay, and then we're almost done. Okay, now there are places you can go from here that make it more complex. And I don't know if maybe I should show that to you or not, because we've shown you, kind of a fairly simplified version. So let me remind you of what I did. Okay, so what I did was, if I did a judicious Klondike, right? I did a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the other pile I did a 1, 2, and then I pretended that you asked me to put the next pair on the 4th pile instead of the 3rd. So it's like we switched those, right? And that gave us 4 piles of 4, and those actually confirmed our prediction. right? Our prediction was correct. So you can finish in exactly that same way if you like. Originally, maybe I'll just show you what I had in mind originally, since I've shown you kind of an easier version. What I had in mind originally was to do a left-right shuffle for each of these. Okay, and the spectator can do that as well. And then we can play this fun swapping procedure. So if you've seen this before, I've shown it on the channel. It's a really powerful principle that involves mirrored constructions. And technically, these two piles here are mirrored piles, and these are mirrored piles. Well, what that allows you to do is this really fun swapping idea where we have 4 cards in each. So the rule is you are allowed then 3 swaps. It's 1 swap fewer than the number of cards in each half. So what is a swap? Swap is where you move the top to the bottom. Okay, there's 1 swap. You're allowed 2 more swaps. So maybe you'll perform them here. And then what you do is you set aside this pair. Okay, so this pair just goes right there like that. And then let's see, we have 3 each, so we can do 2 swaps. So maybe we'll do 1 on each. Okay, so that gives us another pair, like right here. And then, let's see, we're down to just 1 swap. So maybe they'll swap those 2. That gives us a pair right there. And this gives us a pair right here. Okay, very good. So what we do is we have these 4 pairs, essentially. We'll kind of leave them there for a moment. Now, the spectator's free to do their own swapping procedure here. They truly can. So over here, maybe they'll say, okay, I want to do 2 swaps here, and then 1 over here, and then you set aside the next pair, okay, as a separate pair. Maybe they'll perform, they are allowed 2 here, both swaps here, 1, 2, and then you set those aside as a separate pair. Very good. And now you're allowed 1 swap. Maybe they'll apply it there, set aside the new top pair, and then the last 2 cards constitute a pair. Okay, so we have these 4 pairs of cards. Okay, so let me just go ahead and just put them out. So 4 pairs of cards. That, very good. And let's see, are we going to be able to fit these? Okay, and so what I need you to do now is I just need you to choose, here we go, choose any one of yours and stack it on top of any one of mine. So maybe you'll take this one and stack it on top of that one, so that's a pile 4, perfect. And then you can also stack one of mine on top of yours if you would like. So maybe you'll choose this one and stack it over there. That's just fine. Here we now have a second pile of 4 cards. How do you want to stack these? One of these can go, this one can go on top of that one, and then this one on top of this one. Okay, very good. Okay, so we get these 4 piles of 4 cards each. Well, what's going to happen is these 4 piles of 4 cards each, if I haven't made a mistake, will actually satisfy our prediction that each pile will contain exactly 1 club, heart, spade, and diamond. So let's see if I made any mistakes. There's a heart, a club, spade, a diamond. Check that out. There's a club, heart, a spade, diamond. How is this even possible? I'll span them out like this. And then we get, what do we get? 1 of each, right? And then finally, we get 1 of each again, okay? So anyway, that was the kind of more elaborate presentation I had in mind, but I think most viewers would prefer the one I actually showed you at the beginning. So if you perform it just as I did, it's going to work perfectly and satisfy your prediction, which should blow away any and all spectators. So anyway, that is an application for this video today that's presenting shuffles 37 to 40. And just realize that you can use any of the shuffles previously. So there's a lot to contemplate here if you want to kind of think through what we did. And if you're able to do this more elaborate one, then kudos to you. You are a mathematical card wizard. I should award you with a PhD in mathematical card magic. So thank you for watching, and look for the next video in this series. I believe it will be my 11th video out of 12, which will complete our entire series devoted to Bessey shuffle diagrams.